Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And we're on our Remembrance Day weekend, long weekend, and I believe it's called Veterans Day in America. And of course, it's that time where everybody who doesn't think of the sacrifices made by millions of people, whether they gave their lives or gave up time or opportunity or careers, relationships, whatever it happens to be, they gave that up so that we ostensibly don't have to. And I'm very thankful for that. But a lot of people, they get busy with their lives and they don't think about it very often. But I suspect that a lot of the people watching this video do. You think about, World War II, World War I, Vietnam, Gulf War, like all these things. And whether you agree with what went on in the wars and stuff, it's totally irrelevant. It's not relevant at all. It's young people who decided to go and fight for what they believed, and on both sides, right? War is a disaster. It's not something we like to have happen, but it is necessary at times. And war, typically, as we look down through history, when a war is actually declared, it's typically to stop evil. It's typically to stop an aggressor. It's typically to stop terrorism. It's typically to stop those who are taking advantage of those who can't defend themselves. And so the other side will cause the war, essentially, by declaring war and cleaning up the mess, essentially. So sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not. But as we've gone through this weekend, that's the time where most people who don't think of all these things are meant to reflect and meant to show some appreciation for it. So in Canada, and I believe in many former British Commonwealth countries and Britain themselves, poppies have become quite the symbol of what, what the sacrifice means. This comes from a poem called In Flanders Fields, written by Lieutenant John McCrae, and he was a surgeon in the Canadian forces, and he died. He was killed in the war, actually, World War One. And he wrote about these humble little flowers that are growing and in the ground where all the bodies are laying, and they have become a symbol of our remembrance and our appreciation and our respect. So hopefully people were able to remember and recall or respect or just pay tribute to those who have gone before us so that we don't have to. So a special appreciation to those who are currently serving. If you're watching this video, thank you. You're doing something that the rest of us don't have to, and we thank you for that and the sacrifice that is inherent with that. So thank you for that. All right, we're going to move on to the game now. We're going to be playing a little bit of, well, a whole game of Axis and Allies and Zombies. And we're going to be using the cards, of course, and all that crazy stuff. Not really sure if I have a real strategy. I know that Russia likes to go heavy into Germany and create a bunch of zombies that then the Germans have to fight. Excuse me, but sometimes that backfires, because the Germans might be able to go around them, or the Germans might be able to move them into Moscow proper, which causes a lot of problems. So, we're all set up though, and we're ready to go for Axis and Allies Zombies. We'll let you know what round one looks like right after this. Round one is over, and some interesting things went on here. I actually have to replace a chip with a dude here, because I didn't do that earlier on. I'm not even going to show you where it happened. Okay. So, excuse me. Some pretty typical stuff here in the Pacific. The Japanese came down, sank the battleship, but lost a battleship, destroyer, carrier, and 2 fighters, and killed the battleship, a destroyer, a sub, and a fighter for it. So, I think America came out on top there, and I've decided to kind of go with a let's go after Japan and really put the hurt on them. And we'll show you why in a minute here, although it doesn't look really that bleak for the Axis. But down here, got some interesting stuff going on. Of course, East Indies card came up, and so a zombie took that, and the British had to go in and take it. But they also had that card that gives you extra salvage. So whenever you take a zombie-controlled territory, you get extra stuff. And so that was here. We ended up rolling and getting we get the man, of course, and then we got the extra tank. Up here, we got the man and an extra tank. So that was kind of handy. As you can see, the Germans have come into Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. They lost a man and an artillery. Well, they didn't really lose the guy. You know, he's there now. But they were able to take that and pop up their income a little bit. The Soviets had taken, excuse me, West Russia. Sorry, folks, I've been fighting a cough for about over 3 weeks now. It's just hanging on. But we'll get over. But you can see there's a healthy stack of zombies in there and a healthy stack of zombies in there. And the Soviets were lucky enough to gain a free tech. And they got the whole, you could move one guy into someone else's territory, which, of course, didn't pay off for them. But it is nice to be able to move zombies around at will. Over in the Atlantic, the German submarines were completely ineffectual. They all got sunk and didn't do much but scratch the paint on the side of a battleship. They did lose a destroyer and a transport here off the coast of Spain and Portugal. Not much going on in this area. And, oh yes, why are they there? Of course, the Central American card came up. So the zombies owned that. The zombies at the height of their power were at 3, but they only had one guy in each of those territories, so it was pretty easy to wrest control away from the undead. So the British landed in Norway, Finland here with one guy in a tank, and I thought instead of making it 3 zombies, we'll keep it at 2, and hopefully be able to hang on to it. But doubtful. Doubtful. And plus their fleet now, although not really exposed, because there's a battleship and 2 destroyers, we do have a German battleship, and we've got a bomber and 1 fighter that can make it. So, that could spell doom for them. Other than that, pretty simple stuff. Of course, the Russians came in, took Manchuria, had it taken back from them. Healthy little stack of zombies there, and the Japanese did a little end run up into there, but the Japanese are pretty thin here. Oh yes, we ended up with the 1 zombie in Sikang, so I thought, well, we'll go in there with the Americans, and all they did was create another zombie and kill a zombie, but there you have it. Now, the Americans were trying to attack anything that they could that had zombies in it, because they got an extra $1. So they were able to kill 2 zombies this turn and made an extra $2 for a grand total of 34. Alright, well that is everything from round 1 on to round 2. The Eastern Front could get messy. Round 2. Well, the zombies had some fun. We're going to let you know how it goes. Up here in the Pacific, again, the Americans going to be pushing on the Empire of Japan. So Japan built a bunch of stay-at-home stuff, but they're getting pretty thin on the continent. They did get another card that allowed them to get an extra unit besides the stuff that survives when they take over a zombie-controlled territory. So they ended up getting another artillery over here, along with the infantry. And here in the middle of China, it's a mess. It's all going to heck. The zombies, actually, the zombies are doing a little better than I initially thought, because and this happens in a solo game quite a bit, because you get ahead of yourself. But the Japanese evacuated Manchuria, so they're going to go up 3, and the Japanese are going to go down 3. To go get Siberia, because there was 1 zombie there, and get the bonus of the artillery, and yeah, good times. They also, you can see the zombies have handle on China. The Americans were here with a man and an artillery, and there were 2 zombies in Sikang. So I said, well, let's attack, because they had a card that said if you kill 3 zombies this turn, you get the tech of your choice. So we killed the one on Midway. We knew that wasn't going to be a problem. And we tried to come in here, and I brought the bomber from Hawaii. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It can actually make it from Hawaii over here to Yunnan. Excuse me. But of course, the indomitable zombies got a hit on the first round, and we only got one hit. And or well, we got one hit, yeah. And so I killed the artillery, and then we, yeah, it just I forgot. I actually forgot to put the other American zombie on there that died because I know we only got the one hit. So that was unfortunate, and the American bomber is now well and truly screwed. The Japanese will likely head in there and take it. Of course, who knows? The zombie could show up in coastal China and kill that guy. And I'm not sure if we want to go into India right now. It's looking pretty tough, actually, especially once the zombies show up. We'll see how that goes. Here in Africa, the zombies resurgent, and yeah, got the Belgian Congo Kenya card. Couple there. Up here, the Americans land in North Africa. Operation Torch, little diminutive as most things are in this game. On the Eastern Front, the Germans tried to, or they had to take back Eastern Europe and left one zombie there, former Soviet. And they took Leningrad. Okay, up here. So, well, Karelia. So, right now, the Russians are getting hemmed in. They're getting hemmed in. They're sitting at 11 right now for economy. So they're kind of dying on the vine a little bit. But they do have about a dozen units sitting here in Moscow, and they'll get some more. So it's not like Moscow is going to fall, but they are quickly becoming irrelevant. As we look at the money here, we can see that the zombies are at 9, and Soviets 11, Japan 13, and the Wehrmacht and the Brits are deadlocked at 21. America's sitting at 32. So yes, they took North Africa, which is handy, but now they've lost a couple in China and likely going to lose another one. Now, the stuff the zombies are controlling, this is just one guy here. One guy. It's not really hard to overcome. But if things go real sideways here, it can be hard to dislodge them, especially when you have to bring things by water. So I think Norway, Finland is off the table now for the Brits. We did build a transport. It's obviously not there. It's in here with the rest of this garbage. But 2 transports worth of stuff going after 3 zombies. Got to bring some planes with you. That's could be a recipe for disaster. So the cards, though, they do play quite the role in this game, and we'll see what they do in the next turn. Japanese are down here. They do have 3 transports, but again, not much stuff. Only 4 units, so they don't even have enough to load up the transports. But I had to bring them down here because the Americans are pushing hard towards the the Western Pacific. All right, round 3 coming up. What is going to happen here? Well, this was kind of a crazy round. We'll start over here. The Japanese came up here, took the zombie out, got a man for it, of course. Moved into Soviet Russia a little bit more. They were able to liberate Manchuria and built a bunch of stuff at home. But as you can see, their home fleet is no more. Yes, it is gone as the Americans continue to pour men and material into the Pacific, hoping to pacify it. Of course, zombies are showing up all the time, so they do have to be careful. Now, over here, we have the Brits are still stuck here, but I think now it's safe to start building transports in Australia, and we can start shuttling some of this hardware away. Africa was doing okay, and then this was empty, and of course the Americans pulled that card. And over here the Americans came and did this. This happened on the Japanese turn, so the Americans came down and took it for the loss of a guy who's now that guy. Lot less stuff here. As you can see, the Germans came in, lost a few tanks, artillery, but were able to take out a good stack there and have survived elsewhere. Now, the neat thing that happened this turn, now everybody has techs. So the Americans have the mind control techs, so they can move a guy out of territory that they are in. Oh, I guess I could do that once per turn. So we're going to move Buddy here down to Mexico so he doesn't do anything stupid there. The British have the chainsaw tanks, which are really handy. That's why we're building tanks now. The Germans, they got a hold of the artillery, so now when they attack, they kill zombies on 5s or 6s. And of course, that's a 5, and then the 6 is the dead zombie. So that's a 1 in 3 chance of killing zombies, so that makes you a lot more effective. So the Germans use that to their advantage last turn, and likely this turn will come and try to smoke that stack. The Soviets continue to have their, you can move a zombie out of any territory where you have guys, but they just haven't had any zombies because the Germans have not been poking the bear, as it were. But the real story are the Japanese. The Japanese got 3 tech this, 2 or 3 tech this round. I think they might have had the air dots before. But they did get a couple of tech because they got a card that said draw 2 more cards. So they drew a card and then went to draw the second card, and it was another draw 2 cards. So then they had to draw 2 more cards, draw 2. So they ended up having 6 cards that they actually played this round, and made decent scratch out of it and got a couple of techs. Now I know there's some people out there that say, nope, when you get the draw 2 cards card, you only do that once. But I am more of a, let it ride. Let's see what happens here. Now, Japan's going to need all the help she can get because, of course, they have no Navy left, and Navy's very expensive in this game. And the Americans own the Pacific. Now, these are just transports, of course, but they've got 3 bombers and 2 fighters. They've got a battleship and a carrier, and they'll be building up more fleet. Japan, on the other hand, has no fleet and only has 1 bomber. Now, they do have $25 to spend next turn, so they could build a couple of bombers, or they could build a couple of fighters, but they really need to get back in the water if they want to prosecute the war in a proper Japanese manner. Over here, the British solidified their hold on Norway, and the zombies didn't have much effect here. Not much effect at all. So the zombies are down. They're down to 7, but the Russians are down to 8. And everybody else is not too far off where they started. The Japanese, of course, a little resurgent, but won't last long. All right, round 4 coming up. What a crazy game. Hope you're enjoying it, folks. All right, round 5 coming up. And Japan built some aircraft this turn and save the rest because the Americans are lurking, and the British built a battleship down here along with a transport, hoping to now put some pressure on the Japanese in the south, and the Americans again built everything in the Pacific. Now, over here in China, the Japanese moved into Xinjiang and did not take a loss, and in fact gained in infantry, so now they got 6 units in Xinjiang and ready to mop up the rest of China and put some direct pressure on the Soviets. The Soviets, though, are a little resurgent thanks to some British help up here, but the Germans had evacuated Karelia in order to take care of this monster stack that was here in West Russia, and they took it without loss because, well, they had a card that says the zombies don't attack in the first round, and so they brought their air power, brought a bunch of tanks, artillery, and they also, because of the Z4 explosives, they hits on 5s and 6s. So the only thing that the tanks could miss on was a 3 or a 4, and the artillery could only miss on a 3 and a 4, and they didn't get too many 3s and 4s. They got a lot of 5s and 6s, and the zombies were no more. So the zombies have really receded here in their strength. They are down to 4 territories, and in 2 of them they have nothing, and in the other 2 they have 1 zombie each. So, not looking very promising for a zombie apocalypse right now. Plus the Germans only have 3 infantry on the whole board, so they're not going to be producing an awful lot of zombies anytime soon. The Japanese do have a few more. The British do have a few. So, obviously, some will come creeping up. And, of course, the cards add 1 per round regardless, if not more. So that's where we are right now. You see the eastern U.S. and the western U.S. Are very different. Nothing at all here. And just a little bit over here. But it's all been Navy for the Americans, and then some cheap ground units just to move around. But they have 3 bombers in the Philippines here with an infantry. So they're going to have to get rid of that zombie, because they don't want the zombie, killing this man. Now you have 2 zombies and bombers sitting there. So they're going to have to try to take care of that if they have a chance this turn. But Russia's probably okay right now. The Brits, helping out. But Russia will likely try to take a shot here, knock down a bunch of this stuff here, and provide some zombies back into West Russia. Introduce the zombies back, because they've been eradicated, and that's just not nice. They're just life-deprived, animated beings, right? They're just living their truth. So I don't think we should really get mad at zombies. All right, here we go, round 5. Will the Russians make good on that threat? Round 6, or where the zombies buy it. And yeah, they've kind of been taking it on the chin here. It's kind of started to feel sorry for them a little bit, but not too terribly much. Here we go. Got another zombie popped up in Western Canada. Still got our 3 down in Mexico. But the Americans have come across and landed in force in China. And the Japanese have all but abandoned any chance of holding on to this, as they have no navy, but they also built no units this turn. So it might be wise of them to build something next turn, but they do have a ton of cash right now. But you can see there is a battleship carrier, 2 fighters, 3 bombers, and 2 destroyers, all within range of the Japanese home waters. So things might not go too well there. But they did take over the rest of China. They did punch into a couple of Soviet territories here. So they had a decent payday of $19, tacked on to whatever they hadn't spent before. Over here, the Americans flew by with their bombers and zorched 3 of the zombies in Southeast Asia, helping out their brethren, the Brits. Of course, zombies just keep popping up, as they are wont to do in this game. Up here, the Germans have been pushed out of Eastern Europe. Lock, stock, and smoke and barrels. They are gone. They, in fact, retreated back here, as the zombies were taking some chunks out of them, and the Soviets just have too much stuff, and again, backed up by their Tommy buddies over here. The British built here this time, and we'll be able to land 6 units next turn with a little bit of air support. A little bit of a disaster over here. We had the tank and an artillery from here try to invade 1 lone zombie, and you can see what happened. So not good, and yeah, just not good. So I didn't send any of these boys, because I didn't want to just create another zombie and then I wouldn't be able to leave the territory. So you can see how that goes. Looking like an Allied victory here, though. Japanese are kind of dying on the vine. They've got units here, but nothing that's really going to do much. And they're just going to start losing territory like crazy. The British are likely going to take Yunnan, and the Americans will definitely take Manchuria and Sinkiang. So that's all going to go bye-bye. Got 1 more boatload here, another boatload there. Excuse me. And the Germans have been pushed way back. And obviously they can't just stay here. They've got to push out. In fact, they're in so much trouble they actually built 3 men. That's the first men they built this entire game. But they needed to get some units on the board here. So looking a little bleak for the Axis. Dying the death of 1,000 cuts here, and they're starting to lose. As you know, the Germans are losing their. These are hard to hold on to in this game, by the way. So don't even try with the Germans. With the Japanese, as you can see, with the landing here, the loss of Southeast Asia, soon to be the loss of Manchuria, they're going to be down to about $10 very shortly. So I think we're going to do 1 more round here, see what the zombies have to say about things, but I think this is going to be an Allied victory. But A little bit more to play. We'll see how round 6 goes. I might change my mind. You never know. Round 7 will not be played. That is the end. There ain't no more, because Japan has Americans on the shore and in the streets and in the theaters and restaurants and all the rest. So yes, they did. It wasn't really a Hail Mary. The odds were actually in America's favor, but they won pretty heavily. They still had a fighter and they saved all their bombers and still 2 tanks. And the zombies were very ineffectual here and actually killed one of the Japanese defenders on the first round, so that was fun. Overall, this is a very surprising outcome. I didn't think it would go this quickly, but I got really aggressive versus the zombies in a couple of spots. I think there were 9 here in West Russia, and I was able to wipe them all out in 1 round of combat with the Germans, and that really kind of calmed things down here. But then I had the British landing over here, and as you can see, there's like 5 zombies in there, and now there's 3 here. The Brits landed here this turn as well. This is why it's an Allied victory as well. Although the zombies were here, and again I attacked just like I did over here with a tank and an artillery. Did the same thing here, tank and an artillery, and they both died. That can't happen twice. Yeah, it can. Not much else to report. The Allies had a very healthy game here. The complete focus of the Americans on the Pacific likely saved the game, because I think without all that pressure, the Japanese may have actually been able to put a lot more heat on Moscow, which then in turn, of course, would take heat off Berlin. But that's what it is. We had the landing that came up through here, of course, and now there's 6 more units ready to come and air power backing them up. And as we look at the money, zombies are in dead last, which is pretty rare. Japanese are down to 10, of course, after having lost. I don't think they're at 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh yeah, because they got the 2 islands. Actually, yeah, Caroline and Okinawa. But you can see that the Germans are down to 13. They're below what the Soviets had. Soviets came in and took this and took this. And yeah, the Germans just didn't have the ability to get into there. And with all the British stuff sitting there and coming through, just a mess. So thanks for watching, folks, and hope you enjoyed the video. We will likely not be able to get another one out anytime soon. We're hoping we can, but our high school football team is just too darn good. They're ranked first in the province and 2nd or 3rd in the country. They were 2nd last week to a team from Quebec. And then last week, we won in overtime versus the number 2 team in the province. But I think that may have dropped us down to 3rd, even though it was a win. It was in overtime. So we will have to see what we see. But we're into the playoffs now. And I get to announce the games, and that's going to be on Friday. And our JV team is also doing very well. They also had an undefeated season. And they are playing in the playoffs on Wednesday. So next time I have a video out, both our teams could be headed for provincial finals, and that'd be exciting. 2nd year in a row for the varsity team. It'd be a 3rd year in a row going to the provincial championship. They lost the first one in overtime, won last year very handily, 45-14, I believe, and never punted once during the game. Never punted. We just had a great game. So hoping for another one like that. Our star player, unfortunately, who was the BC High School Sports Player of the Month, he tore his ankle, the ligaments in his ankle, so he's out. He scored 7 touchdowns in 2 games, back to back, and then he scored another one and was headed for the end zone for a 3rd, and an awkward tackle finished him off. So he's done, which is unfortunate, but we have good depth, and lots of other guys are going to be able to step up. That's what I love about sports. Your star may get injured, and that's always not a welcome sign. But it always allows those who have been kind of on the bench a bit more, or maybe not getting the ball as much, to maybe show what they can do. And sometimes you find a real diamond in the rough that way. So looking forward to seeing who's going to step up. And this Friday, we'll let you know how that goes. But thanks so much for watching, folks. Thanks for your support of the Hilltop Pillbox. And as we always say here, hug your loved ones, thank your friends for playing, and may those dice be with you.